Yeah. Is it a little bit crooked?
Yeah, it's a little bit cattywampus there. There we go.
There we go.
I got it.
All right. Quiet on the set. We're streaming.
Oh, it's live?
Yeah, it's live. Hello, hello. We're doing the best we can to try and get everybody fit into the screen here. So you got this giant table between us.
I'll bring it up on the live here.
We're gonna pull up the chat and we'll get started here in just a second.
Well, it's definitely
Hopefully you can hear us okay.
Wide at the edge of the frame here. The distortion on the side.
Yeah,
Yeah, let us know if you can hear us.
should be okay.
Get out here as well.
If I was really cool, I could have done on the computer and then we could have put a mic in the middle of the table.
Oh, that was look professional.
We've got a mic right there, actually.
Yeah, but I can't hook it up to the phone.
You need to pay for that mic, bro.
You have to pay for the mic.
Yeah.
Big rentals.
I think we have a question already.
Do we?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
All right. Okay, yeah, it looks like it's good to go there.
Cool.
So yeah, the question is, why does JD take so much longer to film than everyone else?
So I think somebody's referring to the Instagram post that a couple of us made, and that was a one particular situation. It doesn't always work out that way, but if you look at the quality of his work, it shows, right? I mean, he takes that extra time to get that perfect shot, and he's got a background in filmmaking that I don't have, so.
To be fair, it gets a little excessive though.
And just like you say, you get what you pay for, you get what you put your time into. Most of my B-roll is me turning on my my GoPro and going like, zoom, okay, and that's my shot, right? He's like, all right, try this angle. But then when you watch the videos, it's worth it, right? So, you know, put in the extra time, you get the extra
Yeah.
quality.
So here's a good question. Who are all of you guys?
Oh, that's good.
Bunch of history
Right,
words.
speak for the-
So let's go around and introduce.
A bunch of words.
Why are you sitting there?
Go ahead, Rob.
I'm Rob from History in Your Hand. channel.
Say where you're from, too.
And I'm from England, so I live just a little south of London, in England. So I'm representing the Brits. We do have another one, but he's not with us right now.
So actually in the house right now we have 2 from the UK, 2 from the Netherlands, and 2 from the US. So we're evenly balanced. Good, Marcel.
Yeah, so I'm from the Netherlands. My channel is History Was Cinema. Yeah, I'm one of the Dutch guys.
So that's Marcel.
The other one is getting a drink.
I think you probably know the 2 of us in the middle already.
Yeah. JD, have a channel called History Underground.
I'm Chris and you're on my channel, so I hope you're
Well, my name is Sander for History. And we got our chef over there.
Chef Sean.
Chef Sean. He's cooking breakfast usually.
I'll put maybe tag everybody in the comments.
Yeah, I actually in the description I have everybody's channels.
No
So.
cares about me, I cook.
All right. How's the ham?
How's the hand? The hand is good. It actually, the morning after when I woke up yesterday after the stream, it didn't hurt at all. And it like it was a little tender yesterday, but I don't feel anything on it today. Like it's.
Oh, that's not good.
You can still see. Yeah, it's dead. Right, it's
Killed all the nerves.
still a little bit red, but
What kind of pizza is that?
it doesn't hurt too much. We're just now having dinner, so we're gonna be really rude and eat while we stream.
Can they hear us or
They must be able to, because nobody said they couldn't.
Somebody asking if that's a Guinness. No, those are Pepsis.
Yeah, these are not Guinnesses. These are all Pepsi Max. Pepsi, like, 0 sugar. And then JD's got water. JD will eat like an entire cow at one time, but he'll wash it down with water. So.
I've just seen Mrs. Sambles in the chat. I don't know if that's
Mrs. Sambles.
I don't know if that's the Mrs. Sambles, but
The
there's
Mrs.
one of
Sambles?
them.
Do you have more than one Mrs. Sambles?
I definitely don't.
All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you know about Franz Joseph I of Austria-Hungary? For me, I'm going to put it at a 3.
-2?
I know he's from Austria, that's about it.
I think I'm the only one in this room who has been to his grave. Does that help? But
and the car.
I would
was
still
shot
say,
in?
well, that wasn't him, that was his nephew.
Oh, that was a nephew. Yeah. But that's how much I know about it.
I would say probably about a 3 or a 4 for me too.
If you say 3, I'm gonna say a 2 then.
No.
Let's see. What food are you guys eating? We're eating frozen pizzas.
Frozen pizza. We've been eating great all week, so we're chilling, eating frozen pizza. So Rob and JD, you guys left about what, 6 this morning?
Yeah.
6, yeah.
They were out the door at 6 to make videos. I was the lazy one. I didn't get out the door till about 6:35. I had my alarm set for 6, but 5:45 I woke up and said, nope, not happening. So we were out for about 12 hours making videos today before we came back. So I think everybody was ready to just have an early night.
All right, Rob, we'll start with you on this one. Any history book recommendations?
Oh, that's a good question. History book recommendations. My favourite history books, and I apologise to all my fellow Brits, because I think probably my favourite history books are actually a couple of the American ones. I really enjoyed Helmet for My Pillow. I thought that was good. And I feel bad, what's the title of Eugene Sledge's book?
With the Old Breed.
With the Old Breed.
That's one of
That was
Jamie's
really good
favourites.
too.
That's
I really
what I was
enjoyed
gonna
that. Those are probably the best 2 that I've found so far.
What you got?
I just finished that book, Longest Winter or The Long Winter.
Oh yeah,
Eric
Longest
Skershaw.
Winter. Yeah,
Oh,
Longest
I
Winter.
really like it.
Yeah, that was
The
good.
story
Is that the
amazing.
Battle of the Bulge?
Yeah.
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 I have that. I haven't read it yet.
I always recommend With the Old Breed. It's one of
Yeah.
my favorite books of all time.
He writes very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one I'm reading like 2 or 3 different books right now, but one in particular, oh crud, what's the name of it? It's the second book in John McManus's Pacific War series. There's Fire and Fortitude, and anyway, John McManus's Pacific War series, focusing on the Army, is really, really good, and I'm learning a lot.
Since we're on a World War I battlefield, I'm gonna say, if you want a great introduction to the Great War, A World Undone by Meyer,
That's good.
G.J.
That's
Meyer.
good.
And even the audiobook, audiobooks are
G.K. Meyer.
G.K. Myers over this. Sometimes audiobooks are hit and miss depending on who narrates it, but the narrator's perfect for that one. And so if you do audiobooks like on Audible, it's like 40 hours long. It's massive, but it's comprehensive. It does biographies on all the major players, gives you background information. If you want to get into the history of the Great War, which I highly recommend because you're going to be bombarded with content about the Great War from the people at this table, because that's what we're here doing. Highly recommend that one. Sandra, what about you?
I'm now listening to A Bridge Too Far by Cornelis Orion.
These Dutch people, that's all they care about is A Bridge Too Far.
Well, it's my
Not me,
favorite bridge.
only him.
Well, to be fair, I've not read that many books in my life, but one of the books I read, and it sounds so cliche, but is one of the the biography of Winston Churchill, which was read, and to dive deep into his life and what he experienced during the Boer War and all that stuff was really intriguing to me. Especially because I'm Dutch and it was around South Africa as well, so a former Dutch colony. But it was really intriguing. Yeah.
Sean, what are you reading?
Sean has some good history books, right?
On Audible right now, I'm listening about Mac B. Sog in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's a book about the guys that were in the north. So it's a subject I don't know a lot about, but yeah,
Okay.
the book's really opening my eyes. shall we
G.J.
say.
Meyer. G.K. Chesterton. This is what I was thinking. Yeah, G.J. Meyer.
You said GK, and I was like, man, that does not sound right to me, so I had to look it up.
Okay.
We're good.
How much does weather impact your filming?
Oh,
That's
Great
the question
question.
with JD.
Go ahead, JD.
JD, yours.
oh.
My trip has just been. I've been here for a week now, and my trip has just been wrecked so far because of weather. It has rained on me almost every day. And here's something that you wouldn't typically think about with weather. Typically you think weather, it's rain, hail, or snow, or something like that. The sun. If the sun, something that really causes things. What took me so long today is the sun will be behind a cloud, and then right in the middle of me filming something, it'll pop out, and then all of a sudden, the colors get washed out.
The brightness is too high. And
It gets super bright.
Oh, jeez. I was trying to turn it down, not up.
Yeah, so the answer to that is weather affects it a lot. Let me jump to this super chat. Hi from Denver, Colorado, by way of Long Island, New York.
Oh, wow.
Love your content. How do you balance family life with your travels? And let's go Yankees. Oh my gosh.
Well, he probably saw Sean's got a Yankees hat on, which I forgave him for, despite how angry it makes me.
What's worse is I bought this hat and I have no idea what it means.
I guess it's like me when I wear a Man City jersey someone sent
I
me.
bought it in a sale.
Okay, it's kind of like having a hat with a hammer and sickle on it.
The good guys.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it depends on where in life your kids are. I couldn't have done all the traveling I'm doing now if it was 5 years ago when my kids were little, or younger anyway, just because they required more upkeep, so to speak. But now they're self-sufficient enough to where if dad goes away for a week, it's not a huge deal, because they're all kind of doing their own thing anyway. And I try really hard to be intentional about my time with them. So when I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids, like I'm interacting with them. I'm not doing my own thing. I try to spend time with them. So when I'm gone, it's not as huge a deal. How about you?
Yeah, so it's a lot of communication with both my wife and my kids. My kids are like older, a little bit older now, so I don't have young kids anymore. So that makes a difference. But still, time with my wife is important, and connecting with her. So it's just a lot of communication, and she, I try not to abuse the fact that she extends a lot of grace to me with traveling, and she also knows that anytime she needs to kind of yank the rein a little bit and say, hey, then she knows that. So I've been doing this kind of stuff for longer than I've had the YouTube channel, and there have been times when she sent me a text message, because when I get into like work mode, I get tunnel vision, and that's not a good quality. And I'll get a text message. I remember one in particular that said, "Hey, don't forget that you have a family and kids." And I was like,
we appreciate you, Mrs. History on the ground. We appreciate you.
So I was like, all right, I need to set some time aside, because typically I'm going daylight to dark and just running myself into the ground. And so I have to set aside some time to make sure that I'm making.
He's a workaholic, to be fair. Like
When he's traveling, he makes the most of his time. He does. Yeah. What about you guys?
Well, I was going to say, I think that's something to think about as well, because so a different perspective. I do have a young boy who's 4 years old, and I'm away for a week now, and I'll miss him massively. I really look forward to seeing him. But at the same time, I think when you see a channel put out a video, so I do a video a week. JD would do a couple a week. Chris does 5 per day. But the thing to remember is that it's not that you're then travelling every single week. So for example, on this trip, I will hopefully, if I work hard, I'll have a couple of months worth of content. So probably the view of how it looks with the travel is more than the actual travel involved. I would imagine.
Yeah. Marcel, you got anything to add?
No. Just try to balance it, work around schedules, and because my wife works as well, and when I'm away, she has to take time off from work. And,
Oh geez, I got to answer this one. John Reedy. So John was with me in Italy on our tour. He said, "Has there been any more instances of VTH after dark?" No.
Ooh, what's that?
Well, okay. So I think in John's case, his experience, we were in Casino, Italy.
Yeah.
And we were out pretty late the one night that we were there. And we were only in casino for one night. And I think we went out to get some snacks and some drinks at like 11 o'clock at night. So it was after midnight. We were walking back to our hotel, and I had my hoodie on, and I'd put my hood on, and then somebody threw their like aviator glasses on me. I looked like the Unabomber. And then I was just feeling good. I was excited to be in Italy. I was having a great time, and we walked past the Sherman tank in town. So I climbed on top of it. And I have a picture of me looking like the Unabomber pointing like this on top of the Sherman tank. So he's probably talking about stuff like that. No, nothing like that. We've been up late, but like 2 nights ago we were up late and we were watching Beneath Hill 60. That was about as crazy as it got on this trip. So
Guys gave him some good questions. Like
There-
in the
there's-
Huddle stream was also some questions,
There-
but they weren't really good.
There's one, did you have a chance to catch up with Ken Burns at Gettysburg this year?
yes, we both did. And I think JD's video from his interview has already gone up. Apparently I need to request mine, so I gotta send Jake a message and get my clip from that. We actually interviewed him back to back, like, so the second JD stood up, I sat down. Like, we had like 5-7 minutes each, something like that. But yeah, it was great.
Super nice guy.
Yeah, he was. All of them were great, and we're actually involved in some of the planning for next year's event for the Gettysburg Film Festival that Marcel might come to. We can't say too much about it yet, but excited about some of the possibilities that they're working on for that.
Let's see. Let's make this a quick one. Sandra, we'll start with you. If you could witness any historical event firsthand, which one would you choose?
Oh, I think one of the Punic Wars.
Mm.
That would be amazing. Like seeing the Romans against the Carthaginians.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. And yeah, maybe the first July 1st, 1916 at the Somme. That would also be something that would be like very intriguing to see.
Right now, because it changes for me depending on what I'm interested in. Right now, I would say Lincoln delivering the Gettysburg Address.
Ooh.
I'd like to see how he actually delivered it, like what the crowd's response was. I don't know, just little things I'd like to be able to observe about that.
Yeah, one that I've said before is Pickett's charge.
Mm.
And I mean, not from like a morbid standpoint, because obviously there's a lot of carnage in that engagement, but
Just to see how it went.
just to have a bird's eye view and to see how it went. Which, by the way, there were actually citizens in Gettysburg who like got up on the rooftops.
Really?
And
Saw it happening.
and were watching it happen.
Wow.
There was it's right there on, it's not on Middle Street. Right there coming off of the Chambersburg Pike, I think, is the road. I know the house. But there was a guy who grabbed his son and said, "Son, get up here." He said that you may never see anything like
Wow.
this again.
So there are diaries of people who were
Yeah,
civilians there who saw it happen and
They
wrote it
got up
down.
on, yeah, this guy took his son
Oh,
up on the
that's
roof
cool.
and they watched it.
Okay.
Anyway, go ahead.
That's crazy.
Maybe Rob, if you already know.
Maybe Waterloo.
Somebody
no.
said that in the chat. They
Oh,
were
really?
saying hard not to say Waterloo.
No.
I agree. That would be awesome.
The last dance of Napoleon.
I think mine would be. I mean, Sandra already stole my thunder, but I've done loads of videos and loads of study around the Battle of the Somme, and especially the first day. So I think I wouldn't want to be there. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near it. But maybe if I could watch it from like above
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something, I would go with the first day of the Battle of the Somme.
All right, cool. Here's somebody said, buy your wife a nice gift when you get home. My wife is really hard to buy for because she has me. What else does she need?
Lovely lad.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank
Sean has been amazing all week with making sure we're fed.
They're really good.
He makes breakfast for us every morning. He's been doing dinner for us. Sean is the man.
Yeah.
So he's in the background. He's not here on the episode. And he's a really great guy to hang out with too. So he's not just here for the
Sean
food.
wants to
That's
say
a bonus.
something?
I'm going to do YouTube on breakfast.
Do you only focus, I don't know who this is directed
Yeah.
at, so I'll direct it at you. Do you only focus on European and American history, or more history on other continents?
Primarily, yes, just because my audience is primarily American and European and English speaking. Not exclusively, but as far as my like battlefield content, historic site content, yeah, pretty much. That's going to change though.
Who's spoiler alert? Oh.
I've talked about it before.
Oh.
Sander and I are going to be in Egypt next March, so you will be getting some content from Africa.
Yeah. Ancient history. Ooh. Can't wait for that. That's going to be
Wait,
great.
is that? I wonder if that's
The
Mark
Is
Lawrence.
that Mark
It could
Lawrence?
be because I know he follows the
Well,
channel.
that's the same guy that asked.
Is that the Mark
He's in
Lawrence?
Normandy.
The band of brothers. The
Mark, is
Lawrence.
that you, Mark? Like the Mark Lawrence that I know, or
Put
is
it in
somebody
chat
else?
so we
Yeah.
can see.
I think
we know.
the previous super chat was from him as well, and he said he was from Denver.
Oh, yeah. So that's not him. Yeah.
So,
And Mark Lawrence is in Normandy. He's going
Yeah.
to do the jump. So
so maybe here's one asking, while you're in Belgium, which places are you going to visit? So this is our last night in Belgium. Maybe Rob, why don't you start? What are some of the sites that you hit, if you don't mind spoilers?
Yeah, no, yeah, of course. There's, I mean, there are so many great sites around Ypres. But if you were going to come here, the big ones are places like Polygon Wood, Tynecott Cemetery, especially for. I mean, it's a really fascinating place for anyone, but especially for the Brits. Of course, Passchendaele is a popular spot as well. There are so many.
Oh, no, wait.
I don't know what else you guys have
Okay.
got in terms of favourites.
Here in Ypres?
Yeah. Well, Belgium.
Well, in Belgium
Questions
itself.
Belgium.
Yeah. Well,
Well, today we went to the Byron Wall,
Yeah,
Bavarian
of course.
Wood,
That was
yeah,
good.
that was great.
where a certain German dictator got his Iron Cross second class. So you'll be seeing videos from that.
My favorite spot here in the whole of Belgium is by far the Meningate. Like what they do there every evening. Yeah, it's by far my favorite place. It's
We got to experience that also.
yeah, we got to lay a reef as well, and we got to experience like 2 days later, like when other people were laying reefs and stuff, and yeah, it was very emotional for some of us, especially when you're standing there and you're witnessing it. But yeah, it was amazing place, amazing spot. So if you're ever here in the area in Belgium, and especially near Ypres, just once in a lifetime go to like the Last Post Association, the Last Post ceremony, because
Yep.
it's something you will witness and you will never witness it again in your life.
They do it every single night, and every night it's crowded. Like the number of people who show up,
Oh,
and every night it's different.
especially, and there's a guy who helped us like crazy this whole trip with the Last Post Association in the area here, which is Yuri. Yuri, yeah, great
Yuri.
guy, amazing guy, and he because of him we could have laid a reef during the ceremony. So props to you, Yuri, if you're watching. Probably not, but
All right, I'll jump to another one here. This is a super chat from Mark Lawrence. If you were, excuse me, if you were trapped in a foxhole, who would you want to be in there with you to help get you out?
Marcel, because of his kind
That's
words.
a question.
Marcel always has kind words, so.
I will kick you out. Yeah.
I'm gonna answer before JD does because I know I'm gonna steal his answer maybe.
I
But
don't know.
Theodore Roosevelt.
Yeah.
He would will his way out of that situation somehow, and I would go with him.
The first one that popped into my head was actually not Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh yeah.
Chesty Puller.
Ooh, good one. Yeah.
That's a badass. Yeah.
You never go wrong with a good Marine and a foxhole with it.
For me, it's Jocko Willing.
Chuck.
Jocko Willing.
Yeah.
I will feel so safe in a foxhole.
I picked Sander because he would just bore them to death.
I think Spears is a good one to be in. But you'll be
Don't-
scared to death that he will shoot you probably. So.
Yeah, don't grab a cigarette from him.
No, I don't
Don't
smoke.
accept one.
I don't smoke. So.
The answer to the question about French fries is yes. They eat them with mayo here. It's a crime against humanity.
Nasty.
Oh,
And you'll be shot.
Well, ho.
Yeah.
We're not gonna skip this after we said that.
It's a
Mayonnaise
sensible
with
choice.
fries?
Yeah, that's
That's good. No.
That's a war crime.
Typical Americans, right?
Alright,
You're
anyway.
European people in the
Rob,
chat.
did you answer about the foxhole?
I don't know who I'd pick for the fight. I'd go with like the Terminator or something like
Yeah,
that.
And John Reedy, yes, that is the trip to Egypt that I was talking about. So I think John's going on that trip too.
Oh, nice, John.
How
Good to
busy
see
are
you.
the battlefields while you were filming right now? What's the best time to visit the Western Front?
Well, can I answer that?
Do it.
To be fair, like the World War One sites aren't too crowded. To be fair, because
True.
yeah, the World War One isn't that popular as World War Two. For World War Two, don't go to Normandy now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But for World War One sites, if you go here, you're usually alone or you're with some people, especially some British people here in the Ypres salient or at the Somme. There's always British people everywhere there. But yeah, it's not really that busy. You might see one or two or maybe a group tour just be on site. But yeah, for the rest, you're usually alone on these
There's
places.
a handful of sites that during tourist season you're going to see people time caught.
Yeah, that was.
There were like 3 buses
busiest
that time caught
week.
yesterday.
Time was busy.
But then an hour later there might not be anybody there.
Oh.
You go to the Somme, you go to a place like Lochnagar, there's usually people there, or Thiepval. But there's so many sites on the Western Front. 90% of them you're going to have it to yourself when you're there, even if you go during a busy time of year.
Yeah, that's mostly the most more famous spots of World War One that's crowded. And like the rest, because we're YouTubers, we're doing research on smaller topics as well to bring them to light. And then you go to those places and there's like nobody there. Or even if you do a story on a certain guy, you go to a certain cemetery which is really in the middle of nowhere, and their graves are pretty much very dirty and stuff. That not many people come there, or it's not really kept up that well. So yeah,
They're all kept up well, but some just.
yeah, some are,
very-
yeah. Some of the cemeteries, because I heard a story once that if you go to cemeteries of World War One and you write in the books, then the Commonwealth can see that people are visiting it. So if you don't write in the books and they see like, okay, not many people are visiting it, they won't upkeep that cemetery as well as the other cemeteries that are visited more often.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so
I think there's probably some of the bigger ones will definitely get more.
Yeah,
more
of course,
resource,
yeah.
of course.
Then the
yeah.
smaller
I think
ones, yeah.
I know. So funny enough, I read an article about it. I know the Commonwealth Graves Commission this year they're trying some new cleaning processes. So if you are out and about and you see some of the graves look a bit green and stuff like that, I know it's because they're trying some new, more environmentally friendly cleaning process and chemical and stuff, which has slowed down the process, which means they haven't been able to keep on top of it as much as they would want to. I just know that because I read an article on it the other day. So yeah.
right, I was pizza as well. So the board is place, huh?
But we saw a lot of graves with new headstones as well.
There were
Yeah.
a lot.
So
with
they will
with new
replace
ones,
them.
Okay, greatest leader in history, president, monarch, commander, etc.
Winston Churchill.
Greatest leader.
I'm so biased on that one.
Crazy.
I'm so biased on him. Winston Churchill.
I think Winston Churchill gets a vote. For sure.
Yeah, Winston Churchill. Good. I mean, he was. I think I said it on the stream the other day. Winston Churchill, I think, was exactly what the country needed at the time.
Definitely.
So in that situation, probably he would be the best type of leader you would want. Whether or not he is the best leader when you're talking a leader in general, I don't know. But in terms of that situation at that time, yeah, I would say you're right. Yeah.
Marcel?
Best leader?
Yeah.
Military leader?
Doesn't
Any
matter.
just
Any,
leader.
yeah.
Oh, these questions.
Can be modern as well, right? Can be modern.
Yeah. I'm gonna think about it.
Clearly, it's Woodrow Wilson.
Yeah, of course.
I just threw open my mouth a little bit when I said that.
Is
No, gosh.
Napoleon is up there.
Napoleon, because to me, I mean, he's nobody you say is going to be perfect. You're going to be able to poke holes and say their flaws. Because I could say George Washington in terms of just his willingness to step down the way he did and the way he kind of set the tone, but he also wasn't a very good military leader in terms of tactics on a battlefield. Napoleon, I think, probably was the closest to being good at both, because brilliant military leader, but also pretty good on the civilian end of things. So, yeah, I might say Napoleon.
Grant, good one, probably.
Grant, great general, good man. A little naive. I think he got taken advantage of sometimes, and that was his biggest flaw. And of course, alcohol.
I was thinking Eisenhower.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Eisenhower.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
He was good both.
Well,
military and
Yeah,
civilian.
I mean, you're talking about a guy who really has to balance a lot of
yeah.
big personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, has to really think three-dimensionally, you know, when managing the war in the European theater. I can't even imagine the stress that he was under, and just like all of the things that had to be going through his head.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he gets
I know a funny story with Eisenhower and Montgomery. Like Montgomery was really trying to get a paratroop operation or a thrust through the Netherlands, but eventually became Market Garden. But in the beginning it was Operation Comet. So he really was, how to say it, like every day or every time he spoke to Eisenhower, was really insisting that he wants all the resources and everything to make a final thrust through the Netherlands. Across the bypass the Siegfried line and going immediately to Berlin. And while Eisenhower was there saying like, yeah, I don't know, we need to Patton needs stuff, Bradley needs stuff, and other stuff. And then yeah, Montgomery was insisting like a lot on Eisenhower, and Eisenhower was standing back a lot, like take it easy. And then Operation Market came, then he got the green light. And eventually it was a failure, of course. But yeah, you could really see in the memoirs and stuff that Eisenhower really had to deal with a lot of stress, especially from some British generals.
Well, you figure just below him, he's got to deal with like the likes of Patton and
Yeah,
Montgomery,
some
and
big
de Gaulle.
names. Yeah.
He's got to deal with all of the politics that he's got to deal with Roosevelt and Churchill.
Yeah,
and,
crazy.
yeah, it's a lot.
All right, super chat from Zav.
Zav.
Love all you do, VTH. I was in Ypres last June, saw them in a gate post last post ceremony too. What got everyone here into history?
Should I start?
Go ahead.
Go for it, man.
My dad. You've met my dad?
Papa
Well,
VK.
Papa VK, yeah.
He's been
My
with
dad.
us this week. Yeah.
Yeah. So you really saw the embodiment of, no, thank
Look
you.
at him. He's
Sean.
bringing us refills now.
Thank you, Sean.
Give it up for Sean again.
So yeah, my dad, you've probably seen why, because he's really into history as well and he knows his stuff. And yeah, as a little child, he brought me to like World War One sites, especially a lot of World War One sites, like to Belgium, Germany, France, and yeah, that got me into history. And then later on, when I grew up, we were as well in the Netherlands as a lot of World War Two sites went there. And that's how I my spark of history. He sort of indoctrinated history into me as a child. And now I'm sitting here with a lot of other historians and YouTubers. So yeah, it's all his fault.
Nice.
Sean, what about you? What got you into history?
Sander.
No, but for real, Sean, what got you into history?
I've always been into history, I think. But my great grandfather, who was in the Somme, yeah, that was the key.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The avenue, and then I joined the military myself. So
Mm.
yeah, that was that.
Mm.
I've talked about it before on the channel, but the first thing for me was they found the Titanic when I was 8 years old, and it was all over the news. And I went down to the library and got a bunch of books about the Titanic, and that began what has become a lifelong kind of habit for me, which is I get interested in a topic and I obsess over it for about a month or two, or sometimes longer, and I just learn everything I can about it. So we were talking, you know, for example, something came up about my knowledge of World War One, and somebody was saying how much I know about World War One, and I said, well, you know what, 3 years ago I didn't know anything about World War One. I watched a documentary about the Somme, which is fantastic, and that it was that one like half hour, 40-minute, whatever it is, documentary that began this obsession with me about that topic. And but I really have to give the credit to my grandparents who raised me, because once they saw that spark in me and they saw that interest in me, they fanned that flame. They fostered it. They encouraged it. They bought me books for holidays and birthdays, and they took me on trips to historic sites. And the reason that I'm doing this today is because they helped fuel that in me. So,
Rob, what do you think?
So I think for me, I've always kind of been into history when I was younger, and I wasn't heavily into it like I am now when I was younger, but I always was intrigued. And probably sort of, I'm not talking years and years ago, you know, a few years ago in my adult life, myself and my dad came over to Belgium and to France, and we went to Normandy and some sites on the Somme, and we came over here to Ypres as well with my brother, and the more I started to do that, I just felt it in me that I wanted to learn more and more and more, and it's kind of stemmed from there really. But there was always an intrigue when I was younger, but it was really sparked when I started to see places where these things happened, and then it just spiraled from that point on.
Yeah, for me, I can't remember if there was a single event or a thing that triggered it. It was ever since I was really young, I was really into history. I don't know why. I always went to the library, and my friends would rent out comic books, and I went home with books from World War II. Some were really inappropriate with pictures with dead people in it and stuff like that. And so yeah, I was like maybe 5, 6 years old, and I was bringing home books from World War II. Ancient Egypt was and the Romans. Those were the 3 topics I read a lot about. Yeah, it's always been. I don't know why.
The Romans have a lot of, like, Roman history has a lot of impact on, like, guys who are into history.
Yeah.
I heard it a lot, like people are really interested in Roman times. That sparks.
How
a little
often do
bit.
you think about the Roman Empire?
Well, first time today.
I thought about it a lot when I was in Italy.
No, it was not the first time today. I said about the archways where the poor people were buried. Remember, I said like it looks like a Roman.
It did look Roman.
wall.
Yeah.
JD, what about you?
My grandpa and my dad were very instrumental. A lot of my grandpa just telling me stories from growing up in the Depression and being in the Korean War. That really sparked an interest in history for me. And my dad, he grew up in a different era. He's a baby boomer, so grew up during the 60s and 70s. And just sitting down and watching documentaries. So it was people who love me investing into me was a big part of it. Here's one from Michael. 6 questions, Lentz. Who, by the way, is like the fount of knowledge when it comes to Gettysburg?
He is. Aren't you looking into doing the battlefield guide test this year?
He is.
Yeah, I thought so.
Oh wow.
He is, and he'll be an outstanding guy.
I want to see if you get into the Getty's Nerd quiz show.
Getty's nerds.
They're doing a Getty's Nerd quiz show. I have a
Getty's
feeling he'll be
Nerds.
there.
And this dude, let me
Yeah,
tell you,
he does.
Yeah.
this dude
He knows his stuff.
knows his stuff.
So
Anyway,
trivia from Gettysburg.
yeah. So anyway, here's his question. It will not be long before the World War II veterans will leave us. How do you see that impacting the study of that conflict?
Ooh. Well, to be fair, not really that heavily because I think a lot of what's been done has already been said, and the veterans who are still alive now have probably come out with their story already. What I think, of course, there are still veterans who don't talk about it, but I think most of them who are veterans are really talking about it, right?
I tend to agree with that. I think we've done so much. I mean, has there ever been an event that has been as analyzed and studied and talked about? I tend to think it'll lessen when those of us who knew World War II veterans are gone. When that direct connection with that war is gone, I think it'll start to die off a little bit. But
I don't know. I think the same thing happened a little bit with World War One, plus World War II overshadowing it. Yeah, I think those stories are also a little bit. They are documented.
I've got a super chat here, and Chris and I were talking about that this afternoon actually.
yeah,
Why didn't Germany attack the Netherlands in World War One?
Because the other one's just selling them stuff.
and they didn't need to. They only attacked Belgium because they needed to go through Belgium to get around the French defenses. Otherwise, there was no reason to do that because it brought the UK into the war. There was no reason, there was no benefit to attacking the Netherlands. And like you said, there was trade there. It was beneficial. It was one of the few places that they could get some of the stuff that they needed. So yeah, there was no upside to attacking the Netherlands.
I think that, if I remember correctly, Britain was selling concrete to the Netherlands.
Yeah, which
And then
was
the
selling
Netherlands
it
was
with
selling
Germany.
we saw-
and
Sorry.
then the Germans were
Sorry.
selling bunkers on the Western
Yeah.
Front.
I was gonna say, we saw some of those. We've seen some of the British-made concrete
Yeah. My dad said that.
Yeah.
My dad said that,
We were looking at it, and it was made. It was the bunkers they were trying to destroy were made with their concrete.
Well, we're Netherlands traders in our hearts, so it doesn't matter.
We were talking about this afternoon.
Yeah, we
Maybe
were.
if Netherlands joined in, they could have attacked Germany from the north.
But the Netherlands didn't
British
have.
from the
To be fair, the Netherlands didn't had an army in
No,
World War One,
probably
even
not that far.
especially not in World War Two as well. So it would have been.
We're too small a country.
We were because the Geneva Convention, I think it was in The Hague, right? The convention about the war rules.
Well, the Geneva Convention was in Geneva.
Yeah, what was
But
the
they were Hague. They were Hague.
The Hague Convention for World War One? There was a rule set of World War One that was done in the Hague,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because Netherlands was neutral.
Well, some of the stuff that they were like back in 1899, I think it was. Some of the rules of war
Yeah.
were from the Hague. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that bayonet thing.
Maybe.
Yeah, the shotguns. Yeah.
All right, I've got nothing on this. This is a super chat from Malik F15. Most underrated Roman emperor.
Marcus
That's a
Aurelius.
question. Oh, there you go.
Even though he's pretty well known and
I don't think
there's
he's
a lot of
underrated.
So he
stuff, but there
says.
needs to be more.
He says for him it's Claudius, and I think that's probably one of the first answers I might have come up with. But I would also say, and listen, my knowledge of Roman emperors goes up to about before Marcus Aurelius, like to like maybe 150 AD. That's as far as I've really gotten in my studies.
There
So
were so many.
there were so many, and you get to a point where like 30 of them in a row did not die natural deaths. It was insane. They either took their own lives or were killed by their own guards, killed in battle. But I think a couple of those, what's the ones after the Flavians? So, yeah, I'm getting to places where I don't know as much knowledge. Guys like,
An area that I-
guys like Trajan, I think those emperors kind of in the early part of the first or the second century AD, I think probably not enough known about them. They were pretty solid. Not an area I know a lot about.
Oh, did anybody have anything to add on that?
No, I only know that my
It's-
favorite is Augustus. That's about it.
The first one? First emperor?
Yeah.
Here, I can answer this one. How do you think Holocaust denial can be most effectively countered? Stop demonetizing it and age restricting it on YouTube.
100%. 100%.
And what's the Shoah documentary as well? Like, so the accounts that people are saying in that as well is like, and do your own research. Like, research is also, there's so much footage, so much documents, so much, it's been documented so well. And people who are denying it are still, delusional.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you could talk to a random veteran from any battle in history, what battle would they be from?
Boer or Winston Churchill.
More.
I'll start with Winston Churchill, sorry.
Wow.
Well, it doesn't have to be well known, but maybe from a certain war.
What veteran?
I would want to talk to a French soldier who survived Verdun.
Oh,
wow. Yeah, that's a good one.
dang, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and not just Verdun, but the First World War in general, how any veteran of that conflict came out of that war with their sanity intact is beyond me.
Mm-hmm.
That's a testament to fortitude and character that I just can't comprehend.
And English speakers don't have a lot of access to French sources.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
true.
man,
Oh,
I would love to learn more about the French army in World War One, but there's just not a whole lot
Yeah.
That's true.
for an English speaker.
Imagine like that veterans, what they saw, like artillery, diseases, rats, lice, and it's just mud. It's the rain and stuff. Like we've had like a whole day of rain in France, and we were like moaning about it the whole day. Imagine being in the trenches for like 2 weeks. You know, it's
And
crazy.
we've seen that firsthand here, how much the water just sits
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Yes.
Anywhere you go, all the bunkers that are on the battlefield, they're all just full of water. If
Yeah.
that stuff wasn't being actively pumped out,
Yeah.
it just rose right up to ground
And
level.
you know how much effort it takes to pump out water.
Yeah.
Which we did today.
Yeah, you'll get to see that in our videos.
Yeah.
Me and Marcel pumping, and Sander and was it Rob?
Sean.
Sean. Sander and
yeah.
Sean were pumping the water.
Yeah.
All right. Here's somebody who saw you on History Channel.
Oh, is that
cool.
good or bad?
Well, can I get pizza?
All right.
Of course, man.
Let me see. Favorite? Okay, this one I'm going to direct first at Marcel because of the content of this channel. What's your favorite World War One or World War II movie?
Yeah.
Movie? Can I include a TV series?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go on, man.
TV shows Band of Brothers from World War II. I think that's the reason why we're all here.
That's true. That's
So
true.
yeah,
So without Band of Brothers, we wouldn't be here. And yeah, a lot of people say it's a bit too focused on DC Company, but a lot of people were introduced to World War II because of Band of Brothers. It was a gateway for them, so
Oh, yeah.
that's a really good thing.
Yeah, by the way, Marcel on his channel does some reaction videos to different pieces of war cinema. What have you done so far? SAS, Rogue Heroes,
We got Masters of the Air, of course.
Masters of the Air.
Yeah.
This tonight, the first episode of Shogun
Oh, nice.
Oh, really?
went live, so
Nice.
yeah.
So the links to everybody's channels are down in the description of this stream, so you can check them out and subscribe.
All right, Rob, go. What you got?
I think, so when it comes to movies, I think 1917 is really good.
It's good. Yeah.
So if you want a World War One movie and you've not seen 1917, you definitely should. So yeah, that would be my number one. I'm one of, when it comes to TV, I'm one of the people who I love Band of Brothers. It's in my top 2 or 3 favourite shows, but I think there's an argument that could the Pacific be better than Band of Brothers?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Hell yeah.
Why is that?
I just think the grittiness that it shows. I think it, more so than Band of Brothers, I think they really tried to kind of show the horrors of war, I suppose, and they did it very well.
Oh
That
man,
would be
more
mine.
pizza.
More pizza coming.
crazy.
World War One. I'm gonna throw out an older movie, but it's a good one. What?
All Quiet on the Western Front.
No, actually. But that is a good answer. That would be my second one. I'm gonna say The Lost Battalion. It's probably about the best
Oh, yeah, that's a
American
good
World
one.
War One
Yeah.
movie. It's not fantastic, but it's really good. But yeah, All Quiet on the Western Front. Even the new one. The only thing I don't like about the new one is that it's called All Quiet on the Western Front. If they had called it absolutely anything else, but by tying it to the book, it got a lot of criticism because it doesn't really follow the book all that much. It loosely follows the book.
The 90s.
But as a look at what World War One was, it does a great job.
I loved it.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, yeah, good.
I didn't say World War One. My favorite one is Paths of Glory.
Oh.
With Kirk Douglas.
Oh yeah, that is a good one.
Stanley Kubrick movie.
I've
Yeah.
never watched it.
Oh man, that's amazing.
World War Two. Wow, there's so many to choose from. I'm kind of partial to Patton.
Oh, that's awesome.
Patton, other than his voice, it's a pretty darn good portrayal of Patton. And remarkably, a lot of the scenes you might think they made up for the TV actually happened. Like him in Africa, going out and shooting at the German planes as they're strafing. That happened.
What a badass, eh?
Stuff like that. So I love that one.
Okay, for me, World War One is All Quiet on the Western Front from what is it?
Like 79?
70s,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's in the
something like that,
70s,
the 1970s.
John Boyd Walton.
Yeah, and Lawrence of Arabia. It's also one of my favorite World War One
Haven't
movies.
seen that yet.
Okay, you definitely should. Then. World War II is The Darkest Hour. Of course, Winston Churchill. Come and See. And the best
course.
World War II movie ever made, A Bridge Too Far. Come on. Guys, A Bridge Too Far, best
It's-
movie ever made.
It's a requirement for Dutch citizenship that you say that.
Yeah.
And any Vietnam War movies that you like?
We Were Soldiers for me.
No, for me was to be fair, the best is Full Metal Jacket. Like, come on. Like, what was the name again? Mother with the machine gun. What was his name again? No, Big Mother.
Oh.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Animal Mother.
Animal Mother. Yeah. Animal Mother. Still, yeah.
See, to me, Full Metal Jacket and Saving Private Ryan are in the same camp for me in that I feel like they're two different movies within the movie. and I feel like I really like one part and don't like the other part. Like
Well,
Saving
you like the
Private
training
Ryan.
parts in
Yeah, like the training part, and then in Vietnam, it's almost like two different
Yeah.
movies. And I really like the training part, but not as into the second part. Same thing with Saving Private Ryan. Once they get off the beach, it's like meh for me. And I know that's kind of sacrilegious to say, but it,
Yeah.
And what about Sean? What's your favorite World War One, World War Two?
Huh?
What's your favorite World War One and World War Two?
yeah,
I'll
just
just
pull the
put it-
chair back.
Movies.
Maybe Vietnam.
Movies is the question.
I know your favorite Vietnam war.
Oh.
I know that.
Rob disappeared.
Hey, hang
There we
on.
go.
That,
Is this good?
Danger Close?
Yeah.
Danger Close.
What was it?
Vietnam is the Danger Close.
Danger Close, and what's World War Two?
So my favorite Vietnam movie.
No, World War Two.
No one said Dunkirk.
No,
That's a good one.
Dunkirk is very good, but yeah, probably a bridge too far. I've got to be.
Yes.
Typical Brit, but yeah, and Vietnam is definitely Danger Close for the. That movie's amazing. Really
Yeah,
good.
That's a good movie.
Yeah.
So before we do the super chat, I want to just address what Historical USA said real quick here, saying that you're jealous about getting to be in Europe for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. JD, you want to talk about that?
Oh no.
Okay, so I'm going.
He's the only one of us that's going.
Yeah.
The rest of
Luckily-
us are like getting out
Luckily,
of
I'm going
Dodge.
home. Nice.
I'm flying home on D-Day.
So it's a two-edged sword. For one, it will be amazing to be there with everything that's going on, and I'm going to be there with with Andy Brigio, who wrote The Rifle. Eric Dorr is going to be there with us. We're going to be there with some veterans of the Second World War, so I'm really looking forward to that element of it. I was actually in Normandy earlier this week, and it is going to be
A really fun time.
yeah. So I would. I'm trying to think. Okay, this is just me personally speaking, so I don't want to like sour anybody's experience or anything like that. If this were my first time. If this was my first time going to Normandy, I would be disappointed just because of like all of the stuff that they have set up. You can't get access really to the cemetery right now, and it's just a logistical thing. But they've got all the stages set up, they got all the chairs out. You can't get in and walk amongst the graves. There's big stages set up all over the place. So if you go down to the point where there's the monument at the junction of the Dog Sector and Easy Sector of Omaha Beach, as you're coming down that road and you come out and you see that magnificent view, there's no magnificent view. There's a giant portable stadium that they've set up. You can't see the ocean, you can't see anything. So, and I saw a picture earlier from somebody who was going there, and they showed the traffic already. So so that element of it, I don't know. Personally, when I go to a place, I like for there to be fewer people. I like it to have some quiet. Yeah, but also at the same time, right now there are loads of World War II vehicles around.
Yeah.
And yeah, so there's a lot of cool things that are going on. So it's just a balance. So I don't want to sound like a curmudgeon on that.
Try and focus on those. And,
Yeah, it's like I would absolutely love to be in Normandy for the 80th, and being here this week, there was that opportunity to do that. I just, in my mind, I couldn't justify the absolute insanity that it was going to be. We were there last year. I think all of us were there for the 79th last year.
It wasn't horrible last year.
It wasn't horrible, but it was enough that I thought if it's like this for the 79th, I don't want to be here for the 80th.
Yeah.
So I'd much rather go to Normandy in November when
Yeah.
there's nobody there.
And to be fair, like if you go on a motorcycle or something, your experience there would be way better than if you would drive around in a car there. 100%.
Eric was there for the 75th, and he keeps telling me, he's like, man, wait till you see it.
Yeah.
He said, because I said, what if we go here and go here? He's like, dude, you can't go anywhere.
Anywhere.
He said the traffic is so bad. All right, Peter, Chris, I'll just direct this one at you. We don't all have to answer it. Do you feel that American neo-Nazis had betrayed American veterans who fought the Nazis in the Second World War?
No, because they're such a fringe group, I don't think anybody takes them seriously. Honestly, I mean, that's true in any country with any, there's always a tiny percentage of people who are idiots. I'll just say it that way, they're idiots. And I'm not gonna let the idiots define our country and what those guys fought for. Those guys fought for my kids and my family and the values that I stand for, not some idiots. So.
All right. Have you been to Saratoga? Here's one.
I have not.
Neither have I.
I've been wanting to do some World War or some Revolutionary War stuff. And Saratoga is definitely high on my list.
Okay, let's see. Let me scroll through some of the questions.
Oh, there's a lot of questions, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot going on here. So I apologize if I've missed some of the questions. Least favorite war film? Mine is Pearl Harbor.
See, I didn't mind that one that much.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Battle scenes are well made, but
That's, yeah, I mean, there's enough redeeming qualities that it wasn't like, ugh.
Pearl Harbor was so disappointing to me.
Let's see, least favorite.
That's a tough one.
Oh, you know what? All right, I'm gonna probably step on some toes here with this one. I really did not like The Thin Red Line.
Okay, I thought you were saying a pretty.
That was one of the most boring war movies I've ever seen.
Well, also in that one, I felt like they tried to get as many big name actors as they could and just
Oh yeah.
and just try and
So
pack it.
It's like the opposite of what they did with 1917, where the only really big name actors were the ones who played like cameos as officers.
Yeah.
And I loved how they did it with that one.
Yeah, they did. I thought The Thin Red Line was okay.
Yeah.
I know what you mean when you said it was boring because it felt like it dragged out a bit, but I liked it. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah,
least favorite
I'm
war movie.
brainstorming here, but
Sean?
I'm just trying to tell him what's going on with it, but he don't understand.
I had too many beers already, probably. No.
Marcel, we
I don't
got a
know.
least
I try to
favorite?
avoid the really bad ones.
Well,
That's a
maybe
smart move.
maybe like it's the best, one of the best. I said come and see, but also least favorite in the sense of like the most horrific.
I think it was least favorite isn't like it was a disappointment.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right, so Napoleon.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
A couple people said that in the
Yeah.
chat. And I'm like,
Oh,
oh yeah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
You know what?
yeah, yeah.
I hated Napoleon more than Red Line.
I was
Yeah.
really looking forward to
Yeah.
that.
The thing about Line though, like it was, for me it was a little bit humbling, I don't know, but it would never leap out in the cinema.
Mm.
That makes
Yeah.
sense. You need to be kind of attuned to what you're watching, because it's not a blockbuster,
Right.
it's a slow burn, so
Yeah.
you're either in it or you're not,
Mm.
and if you're not, then yeah, it's not going to be
I need to revisit that movie. It's been a long
Yeah, I
time
might
since
need
I've
to.
watched
Yeah, I
it.
think that there are elements there that are really good and
Mm.
probably worth a watch. Again, if you've not done it, but yeah, I kind of get the not the hatred, but the negativity with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Napoleon was such a lost opportunity.
Yeah, definitely.
And
the
it
budget they had.
probably did damage to history more than anything. Because if you watch that movie, you'd never think that the guy was a military genius. You would not come away
Nope.
thinking that at all.
No way.
I was really looking forward to that movie, but you guys were so
Oh,
disappointed and I haven't seen it.
Dude,
No,
they
no, I was
skipped
saying-
even
yeah,
that
I
they
was
skipped
saying.
the whole Italy campaign.
Oh, hey,
how
uh,
can you do that?
Dan Hill's in the chat.
Oh, is it?
Battle Guide.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Evening, gents. Sorry, late to this one. What have you enjoyed most on your Western Front visit?
Oh yeah, there he is.
First of all, I want to say this, Dan. I have a video coming out where I visited the grave of John Kipling, and the video you guys did was fantastic for that. It really helped a lot, and I loved how you presented how they identified him.
Is too
And-
much?
Ah, there's the light. No, I think it's all right.
It's good for the
No,
stream, I
no,
think.
But
Getting dark outside.
yeah, how about some of you guys? Because some of you guys have never been to Ypres before, and how have you been enjoying the Western Front?
I think Men and Gate.
Yeah, Men and Gate last post ceremony. Of
Yeah,
course,
that was
we
pretty
got
good.
to participate in that one, so that was pretty good.
And after that, maybe the Brothers in Arms Memorial, that story itself, because
That-
we had the guy
yeah.
telling it. which was Johan who erected that memorial. It was pretty special, right?
Yeah, and even
That
the
was
story that
really
he told, that they were making that whole, what do you call it? It's almost like a park area.
Yeah.
And they found some French soldiers buried there, and
And then the one soldier was laying in a different position with the raincoat on.
Oh, you're talking about
those were the brothers. But when
Let's
they were
talk about
making that
something.
area, they found some
They found-
bodies as well.
when they were making the memorial.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I liked the time code was really impressive as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
Time
yeah,
code, yeah.
time codes.
So if you're watching
Humbling
this,
place, yeah.
go to Battle Guide and subscribe to that channel.
Yes,
because it is
absolutely.
Outstanding. And here's another one that you should subscribe to. I don't know if you saw this comment from Old Front Line.
Oh,
On
Paul's in the
Battlefield.
chat.
Where is it?
Yeah, Paul Reed, who is
Oh,
the
yeah, there
he is.
yeah, he's got the Old Front Line on YouTube and also has a podcast
Yeah.
called The Old Front Line.
I tell you what,
Um,
I was gonna say every single one of us, I think when we've been at the sites over the last couple of days, when we've been discussing something about happened there or a
You're-
fact related to it, almost all of us have said, I was listening to Paul's podcast.
Yeah. Your name's been mentioned like almost daily in here. So
Yeah, the only thing I'm not liking about this trip is that Paul's not here with us.
Yeah. And that's our fault for planning this around D-Day that you couldn't be here, Paul.
And
Yeah.
also, on the flip side, when I've been filming, I've been thinking, crud, Paul's gonna see this.
Paul,
I have to get it right. That's what
Paul, you are constantly hovering just above us in our collective minds because we know we need to get it right or we're going to hear about it. And I mean that as a compliment because it's good to have that accountability. And so just to give you an example of how Paul helped me, we were over at the Hoog Crater site, and Rob happened to mention, oh, well, you know, it was right near here where the British first faced flamethrower use by the Germans. And so I pulled up his 5-minute video on YouTube walking down that trail right next to the cemetery so I could make sure I knew where that happened so I got it right. So thank you for that, Paul.
And how do you pronounce the flamethrower in?
Flammenwerfer!
Also, I want to add to that while we're talking about podcasts. Battle Guide also has a podcast. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Dude,
Oh, it's good.
Dude, it's good.
Yeah, very
Oh,
good.
It's
yeah.
so good. Not so quiet on the Western Front.
Oh, I have seen it now that you
It's
mention it. Yeah.
It's
I just
so
haven't
good.
listened yet. Sorry, I gotta check
Yeah.
it out.
Not so quiet on the Western Front and the Old Front Line are like where it's at when it comes to World War I history.
I saved up a couple of episodes of both Old Frontline podcast and Not So Quiet on the Western Front to fill my time during the 3-hour drive over here.
Hey, nice.
It was a smart move.
Battle Guide, yes. Johan did give us the story about the eyes of John Hunter when he was uncovering him. He asked if Johan gave us the
Oh,
story
yeah.
about his eyes.
Oh,
He
Oh,
did.
yeah.
He walked away like 4 times and then came back to tell us something else. Yeah, so he just was gushing about the whole story. Yeah.
Okay. Here's somebody that says, I am Chinese. The man in the middle looks like a Hollywood actor.
Who is in the middle?
I think he meant
That's
Brett.
JD.
I think he
Think
means
about
this.
this.
It's got to be Bert, right?
Somebody
Bert.
else is saying Bert. I have no idea who he's supposed to be. Well, Bert is Bert.
He's the button. he is the scary button.
Bert was with us in Verdun.
He's our
with us
mascot,
here.
basically.
Yeah.
And he's going home with Sander.
He was at my house for like 6 months, and my wife was like, "You're leaving him there, or somebody else?"
And he isn't fitting in our carry-on luggage, so JD and I are taking him.
Oh, man. All right. Let me see.
Can I just comment on the fact that it's after 10 o'clock and it's
Oh,
still
my God.
bright outside?
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to be in Scotland in 3 weeks,
Welcome to
and
Europe.
same thing's going to be happening there. It's going to be great. It'll be even longer there. It'll be like 11 when
The
it's like this.
sun legit never sets over here. It's been messing with me.
Okay, so during the stream, can we all just appreciate the chef? Like
We did a couple times.
the chef, the breakfast and stuff. Well, you get your recognition, man.
Thanks, man.
What do you do any content naval wise? So I can say this, I've got a video coming, and by soon, I mean, like Jesus said he was coming soon. So, you know, you can use the word soon however you want. But I have a video coming soon from the USS Midway in Charleston that I did. And also one about the H.L. Hunley, which was the first submarine to successfully sink a ship.
Ooh.
Um,
Wouldn't it be nice to
Good
have that
American-
animated on the map?
oh.
Wouldn't that be nice? Oh, yeah.
Sander owes me some animations because I'm taking him to Egypt. So,
True.
but yeah, so I got to go and on a day that the Hunley Museum was closed, and they took me in the lab where they're doing all the restoration on the stuff that they pulled out of there. Thousands of artifacts they pulled out of that. So that's I'm pretty excited about that one.
I've got, if you type in History Traveler Pearl Harbor, I've got a lot of Pearl Harbor stuff that is naval history. USS Alabama. There was an episode a while back, I spent the night on the USS Razorback, which was a World War II submarine. And yeah, another one called the Hoga, which was there at Pearl Harbor. So yeah, it's a little bit more difficult for me to do naval content.
Yeah, historical USA, yes. I meant the USS Yorktown. It was the second Yorktown because the first one sank at Midway, which is what I was thinking about. So.
Here's another one from Zav. Super chat. Favorite preserved historical site?
We know Chris's, probably.
Do you?
Yeah.
What do you think it is?
Play?
Pompeii? Oh gosh, yeah, that's a good one. I don't know if it's got to be in the conversation. I don't typically get into favorites of things because I think that, or best because I think there's so many things that compete.
Yeah.
But recently, Pompeii is the best preserved historical site that I've seen. That was absolutely amazing. And if you ever go to Italy, you have to go to Pompeii and give yourself 2 or 3 days to do it. But yeah, I mean, Rome in general was
Yeah, for me
was
as well.
amazing. Oh my gosh. the
Basically,
history there.
that city is a museum.
Yeah, and of course I might say something different after I'm in Egypt next year, but
Oh yeah, I've been there as well.
yeah.
Just to see the pyramids in real life. You get off the bus and you just stare at the.
That's gonna be very special.
And I'm going to be going to the
your mouth
oldest.
open.
I'm going to be going to Skara Brae in a couple of weeks in Orkney, which is like 6,000 years old. So I'm pretty excited about that one too. What about you, Rob?
I'm the same as Chris, where I struggle to pick a favourite, but I think there's, you know, in different areas. I think when you go down somewhere like the Somme, I always think Newfoundland Memorial Park is really good. You can see the trenches. I think if you go to somewhere in, you know, some of the places in the UK, the Hastings battlefield's quite cool. What they've done down there. I don't know if have any of you guys ever been
Been
there?
wanting to go, I haven't yet.
It's worth it. You ever been, John?
No.
Hastings? No, it's good. That's quite a good one. So you can kind of go and see what happens down there, and then, you know, places like the Tower of London. There are so
Oh, yeah, that's a good one too.
many good ones. So, but I'm struggling to pick a favourite.
I think for me it's like Fleury, Verdun. Fleury.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Fleury.
Yeah, like the preservation that they have, like the shell craters there is like crazy, and still they have the little signs where the bakery was, where the township was, where the blacksmith was. So that's
And one in the Verdun, Montfaucon.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Fakwa Hill was also really cool.
In
The hill in the
Montfaucon,
tunnels.
if you did
Oh,
see,
that's Farquhar Hill, the tunnels that we went. I mean
I thought you
that.
meant Fakwa with the church, the broken church. That's,
No, I mean the tunnels.
Oh, the tunnels, yeah, Fakwa
Yeah.
Hill, yeah.
That was really
Also
impressive.
really good, yeah.
what about you, Sean?
All of the above, to be honest. It's been mental. Like, the whole thing for me is, since we all got together and doing these trips, it's just been one thing after another.
No, it's been a lot of stuff.
It's just one thing that I can't even. It all blends into one is the main thing. But yeah,
I'm excited to see you see the Lochnagar crater when we get to the Somme.
But
That's
maybe,
insane.
maybe for you as well, the Oosterbeek Church, Oostbeek Church. I think wasn't that
Always
like
goes back to
always
Market
Market
Garden.
Garden.
Market Guard, I know.
no. There's I don't get upset about many things in life. Like that's just my nature. I don't. But, you know, I've had a fairly hard background and my life. But that church,
That hit
All the bullet holes on the
Sandra
side.
can probably explain it better than I could to people. But
Yeah.
I was.
So we were doing it.
I was a write-off. I can't even. Yeah, it's even now. I'm like,
Yeah. So the thing is, we were in. I was doing a market garden tour for some friends as well, including
Yeah.
Sean, and the whole history. I told him everything, and we then did now pictures, and all of a sudden we at the last part of the whole tour and the whole build up from the tour of all the British everywhere and stuff. We came to the church, and that church was the last standing pocket during Operation Market Garden in Oosterbeek, and yeah, Sean went in, and the church was open luckily on that day. We were very lucky with that, and he just went in and he got very emotional, and yeah, the stuff in there, all the regiments were in there.
I didn't
and
get
it
to
was
go
just-
in there.
No, it was
Oh,
closed.
man.
It was closed up. But it was just like on the outside, you can still see all the battle damage and the war damage there. And then all of a sudden, you go inside the church and you have this feeling, knowing that the British were here desperately trying to save their own ass during Market Garden in the witch cauldron, what the Germans called. So yeah, it was a very emotional moment, especially for Sean because he is British and he is military. So yeah, it was.
Yeah, the typical Brit as well. Like, I don't do YouTube, and you know, I just, for me, I get on with my life best I can and try and get on with it. But
Keep
right,
calm and
yeah,
carry on.
that certain thing. Yeah,
Yeah, that was a
Yes.
pretty.
every now and then something will creep up and it will still get me from behind, which I don't like.
JD, what about
Yeah.
you?
I'll throw out an American example. Antietam, I think, is one of my favorite
Nice.
well-preserved sites. And
Unlike Gettysburg, it's not commercialized. so,
yeah. You go to Antietam and it still feels kind of wild.
Yeah.
And you know, there's monuments on the battlefield, but it's not so much that it detracts from the battlefield.
Wait till you get to Shiloh. It's even more so.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, you've been to Shiloh?
Yeah, I've been to
Yeah.
Shiloh. Yeah, I haven't done any videos from there, but yeah, Shiloh would be another good example.
What did I
Right,
say before?
here's, oh,
Martin, that's History War Cinema. You need to follow him with the Rotterdam tattoos.
Oh.
So somebody is asking about Rotterdam, can I follow him?
The
History
link-
War Cinema.
The links to everybody's channels are down in the description.
Ja,
all right.
schep hem leuk jongen.
All right, here, I'll tackle this one first. What is the biggest difference between the U.S. and Europe, in your opinion? Here you go. The U.S. has Chick-fil-A and Europe does not. That's the biggest difference.
But,
You and your
but,
Chick-fil-A.
but isn't it coming? It's coming, isn't it?
I think he's coming to England.
Yeah, there are two.
Chick-fil-A,
I think
yeah,
two are
yeah.
opening in 25.
I'll build on that and say the food, and I mean
The
that.
portion, what? How big the
Just
portion?
everything about it. There's a reason you don't see nearly as many fat people in Europe as you see in the United States. The food is healthier here, and that's not always, for an American, that's tough because it tends to not taste as good for that. The portions are smaller. It's much harder to get things like pop with sugar in it. It tends to be, those are all good, healthy things.
I don't know, did you see that ham hock that they brought up?
Yeah.
That's true. JD had like an entire pig in front of him, and we all had steaks last night, and it was really good.
Oh,
But
man.
but by and large, the food is healthier, less preservatives. I mean, even things like if you buy Fanta in the U.S. and you buy it in England, and you hold them side by side, Fanta in Europe looks like orange juice. Fanta in the U.S. looks like radioactive something. Or other.
Yeah,
Just because of the coloring and stuff. So, I mean, just little things like that. I think that's the biggest difference to me. I mean, in terms of the people, it's very similar. Like, when I'm in the United States, I love people like in small towns. I tend to not like people in big cities as much. And the same is true here in Europe. Like, I absolutely love France. I hate Paris. But the rest of the country is fantastic. It's just, it's a different, every country has the people you're going to like and the people you don't, and the people that are one area of culture and ones that aren't. I think there's a lot more similarities than people realize.
France is like a beautiful country, but the only sad thing is there's French people living in it. So yeah.
All right.
I love a lot of French people.
Just go continue before we get cancelled.
Most French people are great.
Here you go, Chris. Would you rather win $10 million or have a 10-minute conversation with Jesus?
10-minute conversation with Jesus. Now, having said that, I have them with him all the time.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? But face to face, answer my questions, talk to me. Yeah, worth way more than $10 million.
Okay.
I saw way back in the comments there was a question about what's the favorite part of World War II, like in the whole, what was your favorite, I wouldn't say operation, but what was your favorite part in World War II, the most interesting part in
Well,
World
the
War
most
II?
interesting part of World War II.
Yeah, well, it's easy for me, of course, but
I think,
Market Garden.
Battle of the Bulge.
Battle of
yeah.
Bulge?
That's one that you could spend the rest of your life
Oh
studying.
gosh, yeah. And you know what? The operations room did a series on that.
Yeah.
And even that, I mean, it's 8 parts, and there's still so much deeper you could go.
Yeah.
But there's a lot you can learn just in something like that about everybody talks about the 101st Airborne. That's like one tiny part of the
Yeah,
Battle of
the
the
whole
Bulge.
battle.
Just the beginning.
We've
of
all been on tours with Happy Few to the Battle of the Bulge.
Yeah.
I did 3, you all did 2. Anytime you go to a new place, so there's
Oh, here's a
so
good
much-
one. Favorite World War I leader.
What town was that?
Could be a political leader or a general.
Woodrow Wilson? Just kidding.
Our favorite
World War One. World War One leader.
World leader. Oh man.
On the German side, I'm a big fan of Falkenhayn. I think he did the best with what he had.
Is Bismarck World War One?
Bismarck was dead
Oh,
15 years before World War One. Kind of predicted it though. I like Pershing. I'm an American.
No,
I'll be a homer. I like Pershing.
I was just about to say Pershing maybe, but for the rest,
I don't know how you go about. I mean, there are so many. The trouble is with World War One, there are so many things that you could look at where people did the wrong thing,
Here's
which
a-
is easy in hindsight, right? But,
Here's a good one
yeah.
that probably doesn't get a lot of negative is Arthur Curry, the Canadian general
Ooh,
who took
okay.
Passchendaele.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
solid, pretty solid.
That's probably who I would say is Arthur Curry.
somebody says Petain. Was a great World War One general. Always wondered what happened to that guy.
I was just about to say like.
All right, for anyone who doesn't know, Petain, hero of World War I, was tried for treason and sentenced to death after World War II, and only commuted because he was an old man. He was the guy who basically signed France over to the
The
Germans.
Vichy French.
Yeah, and the Vichy government. Talk about a massive fall from grace.
How long is the stream already going? By the way?
Yeah, we're gonna go about 10 more minutes. We'll start wrapping it up. So last chance to get your questions in.
And do some good questions. We had some great questions, by the way.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
stream,
Yeah, because we have a game to play, like a
Oh, yes. We're
historic
gonna play
showdown.
a World War II trivia game, which means I'll probably lose this time. Oh yeah, Jonathan's been asking this trip to Scotland. So ever since my family and I went to Scotland, we went to the UK 2 years ago. My kids have been like chomping at the bit to get back to Scotland. Like, you know, if you have kids and you know what it's like to go on vacation and in a confined space where you're spending 24 hours a day with each other, after a while you're ready to be apart. So when we planned this 2-week trip to the UK, we were thinking we might have to cut it a couple days short because everybody would be ready to kill each other by the time it was over. But when we got to the end of our week in Scotland, after a week in England, we were trying to figure out ways to stay longer. Like, that's how much everybody was loving it. So my kids have been dying to go back to Scotland, so I'm taking them. We're still working out the details, but we're definitely going to go up to Inverness. We're going to see Culloden battlefield. We're going to go to Orkney and see those islands and see Skara Brae, some of that stuff. But we just really want to be in the Highlands. It's just a family trip. I'm not really planning to make any videos for the channel or anything like that.
This is a good question from Casey Smith. How do you guys typically go on about research and finding information for your videos?
Good question.
I have like 7 books here
Yeah,
with
read
me.
them out.
I've got a stack of books upstairs.
JD, you want to do it first?
Yeah.
So first is books, and then a lot of research on the internet, like with National Archives. Rob's been helping me out quite a bit, you know, with British stuff, finding resources to help me out. Yeah, so that's probably the first line right there.
That's the benefit of us all being in a group chat. So
Yeah.
we can
Yeah.
ask each other stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That helps a lot.
To be fair, other YouTube videos as well, documentaries. Then you combine it with books. You combine it with research on archives and stuff. So it's a Wikipedia. No, it's a combination of everything. And then while you're writing your script, you're just combining everything. And then all of a sudden, while you're writing your script, and you're on the second page, and you see on the National Archive something different than in a YouTube video. You'll just compare the two and which makes more sense, or you ask in the group chat like, hey, what makes more sense, what's right, and then you put that in your script, and then all of a sudden you have a full script and then you can just go, right?
I should start writing scripts.
There you go.
You're doing it on the fly, right?
Yeah.
He just writes stuff, information on the board and just
This trip for
But it
me,
also takes me a long
yeah,
time.
this trip
That's
for me,
true,
I
yeah.
actually did very little ahead of time. I've been doing a lot of my stuff on the fly or looking stuff up as I got to that place. But typically for me, I'll be reading a book and what will happen is a story will jump out at me
Yeah.
and I'll stop and I'll be like, I need to dive down this rabbit hole. And it'll be like the story of an individual or story of an event. Like I was going through a book by Winston Groom called, the same guy that wrote Forrest Gump, wrote a book called A Storm in Flanders before I came here the first time. And the way he described the battle at Polygon Wood had me dive down this massive rabbit hole of studying Polygon Wood because he described this event where the second Worcesters got overrun and this general was like grabbing anybody he could find to throw in the line, including like cooks with ladles and runners and anybody he could, and I just thought that was such an interesting story that I took like 3 days away from reading the book just to go down the rabbit hole of learning more about that particular story. So I do that sometimes.
All right, here's a question for the non-Americans. What's your favorite thing about the U.S. and or, I guess you could say, what are some places that you would like to visit in the U.S.?
Texas, Houston. That would be pretty cool. 'Cause Joe Rogan lives there, so I would love to come
No,
up
he
there.
doesn't.
He lives in Texas, Houston, right? Houston. No, where is
Austin.
it?
Austin.
Austin. Oh,
That's the most
Austin.
liberal part of Texas, by the way.
Really? Austin? Oh, shit.
Same thing, isn't it?
No, probably Texas. Texas would be like a.
Driving from one end of Texas to the other
Yeah,
is like
take-
driving from
yeah.
Paris to Berlin.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, Texas. I don't know. Like the freedom, that, in my opinion, as a European, it created like all the American propaganda. Created like the Texas is like this free.
Audie Murphy's from Texas.
Guns, shooting stuff. No, I think Texas was good. And Missouri is all hunting with you. Maybe, yeah. But that would be really cool, That would be really cool.
Texas is a cool place.
Yeah, it is.
They got-
Somebody else, what do you like about the US?
Well, first of all, the movies. A lot of movies come from there.
Yeah.
I'm a movie guy.
That's a good shout, yeah.
All the fast food restaurants.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You don't have the best one yet, though.
No.
Harley Davidson.
Oh yeah,
Harley Davidson. Hey.
I'm a motorcycle
Wisconsin.
rider.
Hey.
I was in Milwaukee last year
Oh, were
for
you?
the 120th anniversary.
Oh,
And,
you're gonna fight it, right? By Harley
No, I won a
Davidson.
contest.
Oh, yeah, that was it. Yeah.
It was all paid for.
Yeah, it's cool.
Flights, hotel, everything.
That's
Yeah.
Got a
nice.
credit card with $500 spending money.
Yeah, that's cool.
It was
Yeah,
crazy.
really cool. Yeah.
And the place I would love to visit is Washington DC. I've never been there before.
Arlington
planning a
Cemetery
trip.
and stuff.
Yeah, next week I want to go to Arlington and stay
Yeah.
places like that, all the memorials.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to convince Rob to come with me.
Oh, I'd love to.
America,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Mr. Samples, if you're watching, he's coming with me.
We'll see, we'll
I'm
see.
gonna really briefly answer this question. Have you been on the German Autobahn?
Yeah, what?
Yes.
Yes, I have. And
It's amazing.
if you go over to VTH Extra, you'll see my story from my first experience on the Autobahn.
It's pretty crazy.
Stop, Polizei.
My previous car, I think the top speed was 185 kilometers an hour.
Oh.
And I was doing that.
I would like to
Still-
get my Tesla on the Autobahn. 'cause
And then I
think
was
that
still
would fly.
Mercedes and BMWs and all these
Still
flights.
Yeah. Well, otherwise you should be really be careful because you're driving on the right side and you want to pass another car. You really have to look
Yeah.
a few times in your mirror because otherwise, if you don't look, there's just cars like flying by you like 250 kilometers an hour right past you.
Yeah.
All right.
Pretty crazy.
One more question, JD. You got a good one for us?
All right.
Last question.
Let's see.
You give them time as well. Give them time.
So while I'm looking, Sean and Rob, did you guys answer the American question?
No, they didn't.
Okay.
Answer
Good
that
question.
Answer that while I'm looking.
I suppose I'll say, look, I love my time in the States. I've been there quite a few times. Been very fortunate to travel around a fair bit. I've been all around the West Coast. I've been to a few of the sort of major cities. Everything from a party in Vegas to
was the
visit to
question?
New York. So no, I've always enjoyed my time in the States.
What for the non-Americans, like what do you like about the United States or Americans?
And where do you want to go in the United
Spring
States?
break.
Spring
Spring
break.
break.
Mardi Gras.
I went down to Mexico during spring break, and it was incredible.
Why is that, Sean?
Why is that? Yeah. What
Where's
happened?
where's somewhere you haven't been that you'd like to go to in
In the US.
In the US. Nowhere.
Nowhere.
No.
Walt Disney
I've not
World.
really been anywhere in the middle. I've been
I think
at
for
the west
me,
coast
being
and
a
east coast.
military man, like Washington, right, for a lot of the
Yeah.
ceremonies
Yeah.
you guys have.
Oh yeah.
And memorials, the Vietnam
And the
Memorial.
I call it
Change
change of the guard.
Yeah.
Is that the
Yeah,
same?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
what
Yeah, so
Yeah.
oh, if I could be there and just witness that, and then, even special if I could be like, hey, can I get on the side and just have a bit of an access to it? But yeah, that'd be big, because
Definitely.
the military side of things is big for me, and I don't make a big song and dance about it in my life. Like, yeah, it's just one of them, because I think if I could be there with the American side of it, with your change of the guard.
Beth, JD, and I are going to be in New Orleans next month, and we are going to be at the World War II Museum. So
Okay, so we'll wrap it up with this one. Bucket list historic place to visit that you haven't been to yet.
JD and I got this question in Gettysburg.
Oh,
It changes for me all the
Yeah.
time.
Iwo Jima.
Iwo Jima, yeah.
Yeah, but to be fair, like Iwo Jima is out of the question, right? Like you can't really say that.
Not
the list
impossible,
is
but
so
it's
long.
really
Well,
hard.
it's all.
I think it's impossible for me.
Oh,
Yeah,
is it
yeah.
possible? Oh, is it?
Because I'm not American.
Jerusalem.
Whoa.
Jerusalem.
Okay.
Whoa, okay.
Jerusalem.
Yeah, I would,
Something
I would say Peleliu. I really want to go to Peleliu.
I think mine would maybe be that as well, because I've loved those historic TV series, and I've been quite lucky to visit a lot of the places that relate to the Band of Brothers series, and to better do that with some of the places featured in the Pacific, I would really enjoy that. So mine would maybe be the same. Yeah.
Mine maybe Stalingrad.
Oh, Volgograd.
Volgograd,
Yeah.
yeah. Volgograd, that would be maybe.
That would be something
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In safer times. Oh yeah.
There are so many places, and the list is.
Yeah.
You need a file cabinet for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I
shall
would
we?
love to go to China.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Working on that for
Great.
2026.
See the Great Wall, Terracotta Army.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Machu Picchu would be great.
I'm working on that one too. Those are group tours that I'm probably going to do. Both Peru and China.
Right, boys, I think that's it.
Wait, did Sean answer that one?
Stalingrad, right?
Yeah, Stalingrad.
Stalingrad?
South Africa.
Maybe Kursk,
Yeah.
Kursk as well.
Kursk?
Those, yeah, Kursk, like the biggest tank battles ever. Probably.
Maybe South Africa for you, Sean. Boer War side.
Oh, El Alamein. Oh, that's also.
Sandawana.
Isdan Luana and Rorke's Drift would be really
Yeah.
cool.
That'd be interesting.
Rock's Drift for me is very close to the heart, but it's a difficult one because a lot of people aren't that interested, I guess. But yeah.
Yes, I'd love to go to South Africa and see
South-
those.
South
But
Africa.
also, while we're thinking about battlefields, then Borodino is in Russia. So again, not going to happen anytime soon, but it's pretty well preserved from what I've seen. And I'd like to go to Austerlitz battlefield as well
Yeah.
in the Czech Republic.
Nice.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to these guys. Definitely click on those links and subscribe to everybody's channels if
Come
you
on,
haven't
do it.
already.
Just do it. Subscribe, guys. Just do it.
You won't regret it. I don't recommend any channel that I'm not personally subscribed to and that I wouldn't want you to be. I trust these guys and their telling of history, so you won't regret it if you do it. So
I want you to be subscribed to me. I want you to be subscribed to me. What was the poster? I want you in the U.S. Army. I want you.
it's also they have one for the British too with Lord Kitchener.
Also.
Yeah.